A plane has apparently gone down in the Hudson. We don't know at this point whether anybody has been taken out of the plane.
We can only pray that a bunch of these passengers got out right away.
The fact that the bottom of that plane is still intact are saving lives right now.
We're going to continue to stay on this breaking news story. We're told everyone on board managed to escape.
They were able to keep the passengers calm and get everyone out alive.
Thank the Lord and thank the pilot. I mean, I can't believe that somehow he managed to land that plane safely. It's, I don't even know how to put it in words right now.
The real Hudson hero, as he's being called, is CB Sully Sullenberger.
This pilot did a wonderful job.
This pilot is the reason my daughter, my 2.5-year-old, has a dad.
That pilot, as far as I'm concerned, probably saved us all. If you want to talk to a hero, get a hold of him, because that's the hero in this whole deal.
Hi, we are Group 6, also known as Team Journey, and our presentation is over Chapter 11, Team Characteristics and Diversity. Throughout the presentation, we are going to tell a fascinating story that focuses on what makes a team successful, the different types of teams, and the diversity that lies within them. On January 15, 2009, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 was scheduled to fly from New York City's LaGuardia Airport to North Carolina Charlotte Douglas Airport, with direct onward service to Seattle-Tacoma International Airport in Washington State. The pilot in command was 57-year-old Chesley B. Sullenberger, a former fighter pilot who had been an airline pilot since leaving the United States Air Force in 1980. He was also a glider pilot and an expert on aviation safety. He was accompanied in the cockpit by a co-pilot, First Officer Jeffrey B. Skiles. There were 150 passengers and 3 flight attendants on board. 3 minutes after takeoff, the plane struck a flock of Canadian geese at an altitude of 2,318 feet, about 4.5 miles northwest of the LaGuardia Airport. The pilot's view were filled with large birds to where they could no longer see. The passenger and crew later reported hearing very loud bangs and seeing flames from the engines, followed by a silence and an odor of fuel. Sullenberger radioed a mayday call to TRACON, which is known as Terminal Radar Approach Control. After multiple failed attempts to come up with a safe alternative plan, Sullenberger then commanded over the cabin to address the system to brace for impact. 90 seconds later, the plane made an unpowered ditching, descending into the middle of the Hudson River.
Flight 1549 is a great example of a work team because the flight crew consisted of 2 pilots and 3 flight attendants that trained and worked together to provide and perform an overall service of customer satisfaction and safety. Top management, the pilot, had to make the decision about the strategic direction of the group or organization to the best of his ability. Even though the investigation challenged the strategic direction Sullenberger took, ultimately his skills and experience saved the lives of 155 people, including his own. Working together is a huge part of team strategy. In the aftermath of the miracle on the Hudson, the National Transportation Safety Board conducted an investigation using simulators to reenact the time frame that the tragic event happened. They were suggesting with the simulators that Sullenberger would have had time to safely make it back to either LaGuardia or the nearest airport in New Jersey. What the simulators did not account for was human reaction. After a delayed 35 seconds of human reaction was added to the simulations, it provided that Captain Sullenberger made the right choice to land Flight 1549 in the Hudson that day. Eventually, the pilot's efforts were seen as heroic. Throughout the investigation, many team characteristics shine through. The ultimate goal of the flight crew was to provide a service. The overall mission statement for United Airlines is to provide every citizen of the world with the highest quality of air travel, and that they did. The landing was so successful because everyone in the flight team played their role. A role is defined as a pattern of behavior that a person is expected to display in a given context. There is a specific set of task-focused activities that define what individual members are expected to do for their team. For example, Captain Sullenberger's role is to safely and effectively deliver passengers from point A to point B to the best of his ability. The co-pilot is second in command of the safety and effectiveness of the flight. if in the event of incapacitation of the captain to the best of his ability. The flight attendant's role is to ensure the safety and comfort of passengers before, during, and after the flight to the best of their ability. The fact that everyone lived in this catastrophic event truly does make it a miracle, and this is a direct reflection of the team and their roles on Flight 1549.
Some things to think about regarding Chapter 11 in the events of January 15, 2009. Oftentimes, teams can fit into more than one category. You can be on one team, but also be a part of a work team, parallel team, or even a management team simultaneously. When the flight began, the crew of Flight 1549 was considered to be a work team. Then you see how the work team transitioned into a parallel team by collaborating with Terminal Radar Approach Control, or TRACON for short, when trying to decide what the best course of action would be after the bird strike. Once the captain decided what the team was going to do, they transitioned into an action team, preparing themselves for the landing and the subsequent evacuation of passengers. When the investigation into the event began, multiple project teams were involved in simulating what happened and proving that Captain Sullenberger did the best of his ability to protect the lives of all involved. While there is variation within team types, and oftentimes teams can overlap, the simple truth is, everyone is always part of some type of team. Our group came up with some questions that will hopefully help generate a discussion about teams and the characteristics, diversities, and the challenges that go along with them. Quality is defined as the degree of excellence of something. What characteristics do you look for in a quality team? Often unpredicted things can happen. What do you feel is an appropriate response if you were in the same situation as Captain Sullenberger? Diversity is everywhere. Whether it be in college, the workplace, or even in our home lives, it is there. What are some ways to overcome diversity?